group tour started with a visit to the Daintree rainforest, which is the oldest continuous rainforest in the world. It's also home to the Kuku-Yulanji tribe of the Aboriginal people. Upon arrival to the rainforest, we were greeted by a Kuku-Yulanji shaman named Mooks. As a medicine man who learned this craft from his grandfather, Mooks performed a welcome ceremony for our arrival. It included the burning of bark from the paperback tree, a waterproof bark that's also used by the Aboriginal people for roofing and buckets. After the ceremony, our Daintree Dreaming tour guide, Greg, led us on a short, leisurely hike through the tropical rainforest. Along the way, he taught us how the Aboriginal people utilized plants and other natural materials in their daily lives. Greg was remarkably knowledgeable about a variety of subjects, from history and culture to various sciences such as geology, botany, and biology. Even his statistics were so incredibly spot on that I joked he was like a walking encyclopedia. Greg loved to share information and answer everyone's questions. Greg demonstrated how to use a rock called the burning beam, which gets hot when rubbed against flat surfaces, and described how this rock is used to suture wounds and start fires. We also learned that the sap from the grass tree is thrown into the fire, where it transforms the smoke into mosquito repellent. He passed around samples of these plant materials so we could hold them in our hands and smell the aroma. At the end of our hike, we came upon a beautiful and pristine swimming hole called Mossman Gorge. Sourced by the Daintree River, Mossman Gorge is known for having the second most pure fresh water in the world. Most of us took the opportunity to swim in this refreshing cascade, while Greg remarked how the water upstream is so clean, it's even safe for drinking. We met Brandon, a Kubiri-Wara brother who teaches visitors how to spear fish. Brandon learned how to hunt and gather for food from his grandfather. He educates visitors through hands-on experiences in hopes of keeping the culture of his ancestors alive. Koya Beach consists of beach, mangroves, and coastal reef that are interconnected by the ever-changing mudflats and tidal lagoons. While we were with Brandon, the tide was low, so he instructed us to be on the lookout for large fish and crabs to spear. Greg explained that it's actually illegal to spear fish in Australia unless you are accompanied by Aboriginal people. This is one of the many factors that made the Daintree Dreaming Day Tour such a unique and one-of-a-kind adventure. It was an opportunity to experience a part of the Aboriginal heritage that we wouldn't have been able to practice otherwise. Spearfishing with Brandon was probably the most distinctive hands-on learning experience I have ever encountered with an organized tour. Where else in Australia can visitors learn how to hunt and gather as the Aboriginal people have been doing for thousands of years? Once we finished spearfishing, Brandon took us into the mangroves to show us how to gather snails. He taught us how to determine if they were edible by identifying the presence of a yellow film. Those of us who were not so talented at spearfishing found this activity to be much more rewarding, as Brandon pointed to low-lying trees that were best for gathering snails. After we had a bucket filled with shellfish, crab, snails, and a stingray, Brandon took us back to his home to prepare the seafood for lunch. Some of us joined Brandon in the kitchen, where we learned how to properly clean and prepare the seafood. We cooked the crabs, snails, and shellfish in a buttery garlic sauce. Then, Brandon taught us how to pull the stingray apart, removing the skin and bone before cooking the meat over a fire in a curry. As we prepared lunch, I reflected on the effort it took to hunt and gather this meal. It gave me a new respect for the food we eat to sustain ourselves and made me recognize how we've grown accustomed to food that seems to magically appear on the shelves at the supermarket or served to us on a restaurant platter. I realized how much we all take our food for granted. and gained a new perspective on what it takes for our meals to make their way to the table. While Brandon taught us how to cook the seafood, his 9-year-old daughter rode around the house wearing rollerblades, telling us stories about spearfishing with her father. Once the food was prepared, we shared our meal with Brandon and his daughter on the porch while they answered our questions about the Aboriginal people's traditions and way of life. The fact that our experience included a visit to Brandon's home went above and beyond what I expected from this tour. It was a means to reaffirm that the Aboriginal people are people too, with varying customs and traditions. Overall, the Daintree Dreaming Day Tour was absolutely incredible, and I couldn't imagine a more authentic experience. It was a very hands-on educational experience and, with all the great spearfishing, definitely not recommended for the weak of heart.